Tampa General Hospital and USF Health Morsani College of Medicine are bringing the power of academic medicine to Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast. For nearly 2 decades, Tampa General has been ranked as one of the nation's best hospitals. And for over 50 years, Tampa General has been Florida's leading academic health system. Learn more about their growing network of physicians at tgh.org/the Palm Beaches. All right, so welcome back to the Palm Beach North podcast. I'm your host, Noel Martinez, and I am so delighted to have Palm Beach County Commissioner Joel Flores here with us today. He is the first Hispanic commissioner in the county's history. The guy from serving in the U.S. Army to leading as mayor in Greenacres has done some really cool stuff, has a wealth of experience, and has a deep commitment to community service. Joel, thank you for being here. Welcome to the show.
No, thank you. It's my pleasure. I've been following you since you started this channel, and you know my history with Palm Beach North, so it's a great pleasure to be here with you today.
So you and I know each other pretty well, right? We've been friends for a really, really long time, but I don't know if everybody knows about you, so I want to talk about you a little bit. I hope that's okay.
Absolutely. Let's do this.
All right. So talk to us about your upbringing. Where'd you grow up?
So I was originally born and raised in Puerto Rico. I lived there till I was 11. Very humble beginnings. And then my mom and dad got divorced at the age of 11, and they decided, my mom decided to move to Boston. So I moved to Boston. I thought it was kind of like vacation all over again because we used to vacation over here. But before I knew it, I was adjusting to the cold. I was playing baseball in the cold. And let me tell you, the first time I hit a ball in the cold, my fingers just like hurt so much. But yeah, so I guess I grew up in Puerto Rico, and then my teenage years was in Boston.
What were you like as a kid? Were you like, are you different than what you're like now?
No, I was very active. I love playing sports. I played basketball, baseball, and pretty much any sport out there. I was pretty athletic, so I was skinny. And
you're still skinny, man.
Well, it over time the pounds add on, but I try to do my best to stay active today and maintain my weight. So, but no, I was very rambunctious. I think my mom would tell you that I would be jumping up and down. My mom would tell you, like, can you just chill out?
You're still like that.
I still like that. I stay very active. I like to be doing something. And I think that's part of my upbringing in sports. I think that it created that in me, like always be active and do good something.
We talked about your mom. So tell me about your mom. What was she like? Or what is she like?
My mom is an amazing person. And you know what's funny is I tell my kids all the time, you don't realize your parents and the quality of the type of parent that you have until you're older. But my mom was amazing. I mean, we grew up in a single household. She was the only person that really contributed. My dad ended up passing early on, and she did everything for us. She was the taxi. She was the person that took us to our baseball practice, came home, cooked, sat down with us to do homework, everything. It was just her. And afterwards, as I grew up and I see all the sacrifices that she made, she went to school at night. She ended up she was actually a thesis short of a PhD, but she went and she went for her doctorate. She just didn't finish that thesis. But just seeing her doing all of that, it just instilled in me what I could do. If she could do it under all the struggles that she had, financial, working, 2 jobs in the evenings, tutoring or doing extra stuff. If she could do it, I could do anything. And that's what I try to instill in my kids. It's like, you guys don't understand the possibilities that are in front of you. So I try to instill that in them. And I hope they see that in me too.
Well, let's talk about your kids, because I know you're very, very active in their life. You guys do a lot together. Tell me about your kids. What are they like? What are they into?
Yeah, so I have 3 kids. My oldest is a junior at FAU. My son is a sophomore at Palm Beach State, and my little one is a junior in high school. So They're older, and now I get to appreciate their personalities and their individuality. Where when they were kids, they're fighting with each other. They're annoying one, annoying the other, and but no, it's fun. I mean, my kids have a great heart, and I am so proud of them for the individuals that they are. No matter what, they would give their shirt off their back for someone. And I guess they've seen me in the community, and they appreciate that. So I like that. They all have their own individual personalities. My daughter, my oldest, she wants to take on the world. She wants to be an attorney. My son is a little bit more laid back. He's into IT and technology. And then my little one, she's into the arts. So the three different personalities. And, in my household is whatever you want to do, just give it 100%. I don't care what they want to do in life. I try to be realistic with them. And anytime they come at me with ideas, I try to set the expectations. Like, if you do that, you got to understand what comes along with that career or that job or whatever it is. So I will support them 100% in whatever they want to do, as long as they understand what they're getting themselves into.
So when you're not working, because I know, being a county commissioner is super demanding, what do you do for fun?
So going to galas and stuff like that it's not my idea of fun. I do them because I want to support great organizations in our community, but that's not what I would sign myself up for. I genuinely like to be active. So outside playing sports, I play basketball still. Every once in a while I'll play softball, kickball. I play tennis. I actually played pickleball for the first time last week.
I still haven't done it.
Yeah, so I tried it, and if you play tennis, is very good. So I felt like I did pretty good. I don't quite understand all the rules just yet, but I feel that will come with time. But I like to be active. I hit the gym about 4 or 5 times a week. I guess that comes from my military background. Make sure that I'm in shape and I can run and I do all that good stuff. I like to hang out with family, friends. I like to travel and check out new restaurants and see what's happening in town. So I like going out and sort of trying different foods and picking out a new spot, or if somebody recommends a restaurant, I like to go try them.
What about coaching? I know you love to coach, so I'm shocked that you didn't mention that. So talk about that.
I love coaching. What I realized, I just finished coaching about 3 weeks ago. What I realized is that being a county commissioner and having to go to Tallahassee and doing all these things, it actually interferes a little with the coaching. But the reason I love coaching is because when I was young, I remember all of these coaches that played a pivotal part in my life that I realized later on that their influence sort of helped shape a mindset that I have today in life, whether it's winning or being competitive or being a good teammate or communication or whatever it was that I learned from that coach. To me, that was important. So I felt like giving back to my community, sort of coaching is how I give back in my community. And I've coached basketball, baseball, and football. And I've never really played an organized football, but I decided, I can help be an assistant coach and help the coach and be a mentor. So there's different ways that you can give back to your community. And to me, coaching has been one of those outlets.
I think you and I have talked about this before. I coached for many years and I loved it. I miss it like crazy. Yep. I absolutely don't have the time to do it anymore. Right. And my kids are older.
Yep.
And my stepkids really don't play as much sports as my kids did, but man, I miss it. It was a lot of fun being on the field, on the court, whatever, because I coached it all. Sports that I didn't play either, I did do. So
I actually used to coach my kids, and then now they're older, so they're not anymore in teams. But the city of Greenacres, every time they have a shortage in coaches, they'll ask me if I'm willing to coach, and there's no way I can say no. So of course they understand that there's some times that I have to travel for work, and they make accommodations for me. But it's great because I get to hear what it's in their minds. I get to sort of find out what they're feeling out there, where some of the stresses, and it's a way for me to connect. I coach the older kids nowadays. I feel like I can relate a little bit better to them, and I can still play with them. So, sometimes I take them on the court. It's great.
Oh, Lord. So let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about your military background. I know that's been a really, really big part of your life. So Why did you choose to enlist in the Army, and how, and what influenced that decision?
Yeah, so I graduated high school and I thought I wanted to be an architect, and I ended up going to architecture school for my first 2 years of college. So I graduated, went to architecture school, and 9/11 occurred. And I remember that morning I was driving to my internship, which was at a architecture firm. And I don't know, just that morning, I can still sort of relive what happened that morning. I remember they came on the radio and they said a plane just crashed into a building. And I found that very odd and interesting. And like 10 minutes later, they come on the radio again and they said a second airplane. And then as soon as they said a second airplane, I knew. Like, I think everybody in America knew. Even if you weren't looking at the images, we realized that we were being attacked. And that whole day in the office, the architect went and got TV so that we can listen and see what was happening. And that night, I made a decision that if they can attack us at home, I have every. I wanted to give back, and I wanted to, make sure that I protected my country. And I've been very thankful for everything that being in Boston and in my community has given to me. So I want to make sure I protect that. And one of the planes actually left Boston. So to me, it all sort of like interconnected, and something inside of me was born that day where I wanted to serve and protect.
What was your job in the Army?
So technically, originally I was an 88 Mike, which is a truck driver. But then I became a Cav Scout later on. And when I was in my tour in Afghanistan, I actually was a gunner. So I sat on top of a MATV, which is like a tank on wheels. And I was the gunner. I was the lead gunner.
Any crazy stories that you could share?
I don't share the stories about Afghanistan, but all I can say is it was you see the best of humanity when you're here in the United States. You see the freedoms, the liberties that we have. And then when you're there, you see the worst in humanity. The things that we do that sometimes we don't want to do, but it's what soldiers have to do, make sure that we protect each other. And that to me, that experience was like eye-opening, and it just like opened a whole different side to me. I know that a lot of my fellow soldiers come back with traumas and PTSD and all of this stuff, which, by the way, I related to that when I first got back. Adapting back to normal life is very hard. But to me, it was like, you know what? I've seen the worst in humanity. Now I want to make sure that I do the best for humanity. And to me, when I came back, I always thought I wanted to make money was the number one driver in my life. I thought I always wanted to be a successful business person, and I still do. But when I came back, I wanted to give back, and I decided I wanted to go work at a nonprofit. And so I was looking around, and there was a job at Palm Beach State, and I'm like, you know what? That's the job I want. I feel like I can talk to our youth. I can mentor them. I can help them down their path. I remember my decision making for college and all the struggles. So I said, you know what? I want to go work at Palm Beach State. And I remember I was out of a job for a little while there because Palm Beach State wasn't calling me. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to look elsewhere. And I got offered a job at a bank. And I was supposed to start like on a Monday, but on that Friday right before, I got a call from Palm Beach State. Like, hey, we have an interview. Would you mind coming in? I was like, I'm not even going to show up to that job because I know this is my path. And like 3 weeks later, I got the job, and I never went to work for the bank. I actually waited. I helped. I had sort of knew like this was going to happen. So I went to work for Palm Beach State in Gardens, and I worked there 3 years, actually 4 years. And actually, that's how I came across Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah. So for the people that don't know, that are watching this right now or listening, Joel worked as the membership director, right? Or vice president. You were the vice president?
At one point, I became vice president.
Became the vice president at the Palm Beach North Chamber of Commerce. So what led to that? How did you end up, you were at Palm Beach State College, left the college to go work at the chamber, right?
Yeah. So I used to wake up like at 5 o'clock in the morning to go play basketball at one of the fitness places. I can't remember, LA Fitness. And the former CEO, Beth Kegel, would be there. So she saw me waking up every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning to go work out or play basketball, whatever we were doing. And I don't know. I think she had an opening in the chamber. One day she called me at the Palm Beach State, and she said, "Hey, Joel, we're doing these great things, blah 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 blah, and we're creating Palm Beach North." That's when sort of the name started changing and the vision there. And she said, I had to take my kids to baseball practice that day, and I'm like, "Hey, Beth." We've been on the phone for like 40 minutes. I got to go. And my kids are waiting for me. So she said, "Hey, basically I wanted to let you know, I want you to come work for me." And I said, "Okay, well, let me think about it." And to me at that time, I was going through some changes in my life, and I was actually going through my divorce, and the money came in pretty handy at that point in time. And I decided to make the change. And the reason it wasn't just money driven, it was because I felt like it gave me an opportunity to become better known in the community and get involved with fellow businesses. And I thought the things that the chamber was doing aligned with who I am. At that point in time, I had earned my master's in business administration. So I sort of wanted to get back to my roots of, owning a business and being a business owner. So I thought going to the chamber made perfect sense for me. And looking back, it truly opened up a lot of doors.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I want to get into a little bit about your time in Greenacres, right? You did a lot of amazing stuff in Greenacres. But before we do that, I want to take a quick 60 seconds for our medical minute. We'll be right back. All right, so we're talking with Dr. Alberto Ortiz, a nephrologist from TGH Advanced Kidney Care. Doc, thank you so much for being here. Let's talk about kidney disease. I hear it is a silent killer. Is that correct?
That is very correct. And kidney disease, you have to lose about 80% of your kidney function in order to have any symptoms at all. And once you do get to that point, the symptoms are very non-specific that you can find in other conditions like generalized weakness, fatigue, and poor appetite.
How do you treat it?
So we have, when you get to that point, we have what we call renal replacement therapies, and it consists on hemodialysis, in which we have a machine doing the filtering of the blood and replacement of the kidney. And then we have a kidney transplant in which you get another kidney from somebody else.
All right, so that sounds bad. I don't want to get there, Doc. So how do I prevent it?
So we have different therapies that coupled with good lifestyle modifications and good healthy eating and exercise do go a long way.
Great, Doc. Well, thank you so much. And that was your Medical Minute brought to you by TGH. All right, so we're back. So let's talk a little bit about Greenacres, right? You were eventually mayor there, right? So let's start. What motivated you to originally run for office?
So basically, the chamber. We were working with the 10 different municipalities, and I saw how active and engaged they were with the chamber, and I'm like, this is what leaders should look like. And I give Mayor Marino a lot of credit for this. I thought she was the most approachable person. I felt like a lot of the municipalities, the mayors, the commissioners, council members were very engaged with the community. And I liked that. I said, well, if they can do it, why can't I? And then the PAC, the Palm Beach North PAC, I got involved. It's actually part of their committee, and I took notes and I make sure that everybody showed up on time. But at that first PAC meeting, when they were interviewing people, I'm like, these people are just like me. If they can do it, I can do it too. And I started comparing. I said, I have a bachelor's, I have a master's, I've served in the military, I'm involved, I got kids in the school district, I'm of Hispanic descent. If they can do it, I can do it too. And once I lost that fear, I got involved. Actually, I called former Commissioner David Kerner. I said, hey, I got a crazy idea. Can we have lunch? And when we talked, he's like, yeah, I love it. Why don't you get involved locally? And we looked, I at that point in time, I was coaching in Greenacres, but I didn't really realize that I lived in Greenacres because my postal address said West Palm. So when we actually looked, I lived in Greenacres, I got involved. I had been coaching there. I had been very involved in the community anyways, and it made perfect sense. Now, I was sort of eyeing a commission seat. I wasn't eyeing just to jump right to mayor. I started attending. I got on the planning and zoning board. And I started attending the commission meetings. And one night the mayor announced that he was going to retire. I think everybody in the room was in shock. And after the meeting, he walked right over to me and said, Joel, I want you to run to become the next mayor. And I was like, I was a little, you know how you get all those feelings, all like mixed emotions within like 1 second. I felt it. And that night, talked to my kids and I said, what do you guys think about this? And they're like, that sounds really cool, Dad.
Be cool, Dad. Mayor Dad.
I don't know that they would describe that way 3 years after I dragged them through all these events. But no, so that night I made the decision that I would be running for mayor of Greenacres. And then the next hard thing was going and hiring a consulting company to lead my efforts, and that understood my vision too. And it all came together within like 5 months.
So here, 5 months later, you are the mayor. We are many years away from that, right? And you've done some really cool stuff and you've really served that community well. What are some of your most proud accomplishments as mayor?
There's so many projects that you can sort of pinpoint to. The things that make me the most proud is anytime I go into the schools and I get to talk to the kids and I get to let them know, hey, I'm the mayor today, but like in 20 years, it could be you that becomes the mayor of Greenacres. So to me, that's always something that's like instilled in me. And I go to all the schools and I talk and I try to let them know that by the way, Greenacres is like 60% Hispanic population. So I try to tell them if I made it, and I come from a very poor background and very humble beginnings. If I made it, you can make it too. Like we live in a country that's full of opportunities and you can truly make whatever you want out of yourself. It won't be given to you. It won't be easy, but if you work and you have dedication, you can achieve anything in this great country of ours. So that to me is something that makes me proud. I mean, we're building a brand new youth center in Greenacres because we provide some amazing services and we've been recognized top 3 in the county for youth programming and through the Children's Services Council. And so we've been able to expand those programs. So the building's actually being built right now. We've been able to enhance like firefighters. We're building a brand new station. So there's a lot of things that we've done. One of the smallest projects that you can think of, we're going from septic to sewer. I mean, from sewer to septic. And to me, it's a project that the city had been talking about for forever. And we actually said, you know what, it's time. Let's do it. So there's a lot of things that we can look back and say, you know what. But I think the biggest thing that in Greenacres we've changed the culture. That we are about the people. We're making sure that the businesses are represented, that they have a seat at the table, that we understand what are some of the concerns of the residents. And one of the things when I came into Greenacres that we kept having to overcome was our image. Because for some reason, we had earned a title that we were a high crime city. But it was just the way that we were sort of being portrayed. And we fixed that. We invested in the appearance and the cleanliness of the city. We added more trees, more greenery. And I think that the residents have totally bought into that concept. And I know the city right now is also undergoing additional, how do they see themselves in the next 100 years? Because they're about to turn 100 years in 2026. So we're a long-standing city in the county, and we're looking to grow. And part of me and my new role as District 3, it's Greenacres is one of my cities, and I want to see them flourish.
So let's talk about your new role, right? So you did all this great stuff. I know how much you love Greenacres, right? That's part of who you are.
This is my peoples.
Those are your peoples. All right. Now, all of a sudden, people are talking about you running for county commissioner, right?
Mm-hmm.
I heard it all the way up here, up in the north end of the county, right? So what made you do that? What made you take that jump?
I felt like we had never had a voice. District 3, we've had some great commissioners, but we weren't talking about the issues in District 3. And to me, the issues in District 3 were my driving force. I've lived in my community. I shop in my community. I've coached kids in my community. I've generally been involved in my community for a long time. And what I saw that was different in my community than all the others was that you have the business component, and it's a nice balanced ecosystem. District 3 doesn't have that. We're primarily residential. And what I want to do is bring the business community to District 3. We did a study, and what we learned early on in District 3 is that every single morning, the traffic patterns is everybody's leaving District 3 between 7 in the morning to 9. And in the evenings between 4:30 and 7, everybody's driving back. So what we want to do is be able to attract redevelopment in District 3, bring those business opportunities. I'm a big fan of mixed use. And so those are some of the things that I think we're primed to redevelop District 3. We are one of the oldest part of this county. Greenacres about to turn 100 years old, and Village of Palm Springs is right behind. So we're primed. So that's sort of the reason that I said, you know what? I want to make sure that I represent my community in the best way that I know how. And it's truly about that vision. And it's about getting our people to be able to work, live, and play all in the same place.
So let's go back a little bit. I want to talk about campaigning, because people, that don't know what it's all about think it's like all fun and games, right? You get to go to all these cool events, and you get to shake all these hands, and you get to do all these cool things. Campaigning is brutal.
It's brutal.
So what was the toughest part of campaigning? Because I know it's very different campaigning to be mayor of Greenacres than it is to run for county commission, right? So what was the hardest part about being in a campaign?
As the mayor, you have a voice, and people know who you are, and they know what you're about a little bit. But you still got to find your voice, because you still got to be able to convey a message, your vision. You have to be able to talk about that and really fully understand what you're talking about, and does it even make sense? Because people are going to question that. They're going to challenge, they're going to push back. So the first thing you have to find is that inner voice and that fortitude to make sure that your messaging is on point. Then the next hard thing is to fundraise, and going to the events and doing all of that requires time, effort, and dedication, because you can get burnt out really quick. And I campaigned for 24 months. Actually, my campaign started before I actually launched the campaign, because it was all strategizing, making sure that I had my people in place, that I had my consultants, and that we knew what the timeline was going to be. But the hardest part about campaigning is actually fundraising and getting in front of people and asking them for $25. And in my opinion, I can ask a person that has money for money. I don't have a problem with that. But asking my neighbor to give me $25, that's the hardest ask that you will have to make. And not because they don't back you, because you understand that their resources are limited. And if they're giving you that $25, it's because it matters to them. It matters that you're going to represent them. And I take that every day that I go to work. And we were talking about this before we came on here. I'm working my butt off every single day, because I want people to know that I take this serious. And since I am the first Hispanic elected official, I want to make sure that I do my people proud, that they feel like I am doing the work, that I am taking this thing serious every single day, that I'm doing the homework, that I'm reading. You should see the packets of papers that I take home every single weekend. And I by far reading the most that I've ever read in my life. On a weekend basis, but I love it. I mean, the reading that I'm doing, it's getting myself educated. So when we have these county commission board meetings, I'm prepared, and I know what questions to ask and what to push against. And if it's a good project, and I'm all for it. And if there are things that we need to clean up, that's the opportunity to clean it up there.
So you touched on it. Like you made history.
I did.
First Hispanic elected to county commission seat. What does that mean to you? It's got to feel amazing.
It feels amazing to think that in 114 years, there has never been a Hispanic person. And I was able to break that barrier. we broke the barrier in November. That is long gone. I think now it's about leaving a good legacy, a legacy that will make others want to follow. And it doesn't matter what their origins are from, whether they're Hispanic or the Black community or anybody else out there, just so that they understand that in this county, everybody is welcomed and that your voice is the same as the next person. And that at the end of the day, if you're running for public offices, you're doing it for the right reasons. You want to make sure that Palm Beach County is primed, that we're leading the way, that we are getting the best businesses here, the best hospitals, the best everything, because that's what we deserve. And that's the approach I take into work every single day. It's that we are making Palm Beach County elite, that everybody is looked after and that we don't leave anyone behind. And I think like there's so many communities out there that sometimes feel like their voices aren't heard. And I take time to listen to those voices. So to me, that's the approach. And at the end of the day is I want to make sure that the next generation is primed and ready to go to lead. Leading looks different for everyone. My path is very different than perhaps yours. But to me, it's my core values: education, service, and the people. And at the end of the day, every decision that I make, if it checks off those things, then I'm okay with it.
How do you engage your constituents, right? Because a big part of this is getting people to get engaged.
Yeah.
That's like the hardest part of all of our jobs, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get your constituents to get engaged?
It's hard. We're all busy now. I mean, you think that the cell phone thing, that invention was making our lives easier, but all that does is get us to more events and keep us booked, jam-packed. You got your agenda on your cell phone at all times. It reminds you what's next. But people are busy. So when any time that you have that opportunity to engage with them, it's valuable. You got to understand that first of all. I engage with my people at the supermarket. That's the beauty about me. It's like you can see me at the gym, you can see me at the parks, you can see me anywhere, and I'm approachable. If I'm wearing a hat, it means I didn't do my hair that day.
You can't mess up that hair, man.
It doesn't compare to yours, but second best in the county. No, but it's just about being available. My doors are open. My team is open, and part of the reason when I was getting my team, I wanted to make sure that they were bilingual, and that to me matters, and that they all come from different walks of life. So, for example, my chief of staff is a former detective from New York. So she's law enforcement, and then I have Gabby, who is an amazing artist, and she sees things through a different lens. And then I have Deanne, who is the most caring person in this world. She would literally take her clothes off to make sure that somebody's clothes. And that's the type of people that I want to be surrounded with. And it's about taking the time and listening to people. So that's how I engage with them. My doors are open. We're actually expanding. We're actually doing an in-district office in Palm Springs starting in April. So people can just genuinely just walk into my office and see me. And we'll be there every other Wednesday, starting I think April 5th or something like that. Don't hold me to that date, but it's going to be starting April every other Wednesday.
Awesome. So being a county commissioner is a full-time job. It's more than a full-time job.
It is.
Right. You put in all kinds of crazy hours. What does a typical day look like for you?
I walk into the office. My agenda is usually jam-packed with either constituent services, meetings with our team, the county staff, or people that have projects that are coming before us. So they want to make sure that they can answer any questions that we may have before we get out into a public meeting. And I try to afford them that opportunity as much as possible. It's never my intention to make anybody look bad in public. And if I ask the questions ahead of time, that way they can get me the answer that I'm looking for. So to me, it's about giving them the time that they need to explain the projects to me. If I have some questions, you know what I'm going to ask at the meeting, so be prepared. And I do the same thing with my staff. I hold my staff to a higher standard. I want to make sure that they're always prepared. They know the questions, the angles that I'm coming at it the different projects, whether it's, we approved La Quinta Inn about 2 weeks ago. And to me, it was about making sure that the money that we were going to spend was appropriate, meaning we were about to purchase a hotel to give people that are veterans and seniors an opportunity to live at an affordable price point. One of the sticking points to me was we were going to pay the exit fee of the franchise. So that was, I think, like $2 million. But I wanted to understand why we were paying that fee. Why isn't the seller paying that fee? And the short answer to that was because we are the one purchasing and we're the ones choosing not to engage in being a hotel any longer. And the other thing was the recurring fees that were going to be involved. So it's about $3 million on an annual basis that we're going to have to spend to provide the services to these individuals. So to me, making sure that we're being fiscally responsible and we're able to, not have the taxpayers have to pay for that. So to me, that's sort of I'm just giving you an example of sort of my thoughts behind that decision-making process. And at the end of the day, if we were going to build our own facilities, we would have never been able to do it for the amount that we're going to be purchasing this one. It is an outdated facilities, but we're going to invest some money into getting it up to par. And even then we wouldn't even be close. So to me, it's the right thing to do. I think a lot of our seniors are feeling the pressures out there. The insurance fees are through the roof. HOA fees are crazy right now. So we don't want people on the streets. That's going to cost us even more money. So if we can provide them an affordable place, it's a humble place, but still somewhere that they can go and have a good place to live. So that's where I come at it from my decision-making standpoint. But that's a lot of my days is making sure that I'm prepared for when we have these public meetings, zoning and planning. And the other thing is every Friday we do a tour. So the reason that I'm doing tours on Fridays is to learn about what the different departments do, what resources they have, what they don't have, what we can do better, what we can improve upon. And by the way, a lot of our things that we do are amazing and people don't really understand that.
So these tours are with different departments within the county?
A lot of the tours have been within different departments. Now that we've pretty much done them all, we are now going out to the nonprofits. So this Friday, we're actually going to be meeting with 211, and they're going to tell us about what they do, the services that they provide the county. And the nonprofits are a partner of ours. So it's a win-win.
So let's talk about some high level stuff here. What are the biggest issues to you, in your opinion, that our county is facing?
I think housing right now it's a main issue, the single biggest main issue. The reason that housing is so critical is because if the workforce doesn't have a place to live, we can't bring in more businesses. If we're all stealing each other's employees because we don't have enough housing to field our workforce, then we're doing a disservice to the local economy. So we need more workforce housing. We can't afford to pay ridiculous wages, so we have to make sure that the housing is in line with the wages that we pay. So I think housing is a priority. I think any local government is going to want to continue to enhance the businesses that we bring into the county, the opportunities. That's a good symbol of a vibrant economy. And we want to do that. And I think the BDB does an amazing job along with the other chambers to make sure that we are providing that space for businesses to continue to come here. But I think housing is one of them because there is a shortage in the supplies of housing. It's also creating some homeless issues, which we are attempting to overcome. And there's many other things that we can talk about, but I think the single largest to me is housing and make sure that we have a vibrant workforce for our businesses to continue to thrive. I mean, I come from a business background, a chamber background. I want our businesses to thrive.
Earlier, you talked a little bit about spending time in Tallahassee, and I know you spent some time in DC as well since you've come on board, because you've only been a commissioner, what, 4 months? 4 months?
4 months.
4 months. So for the public, the people that don't know, how do you advocate for Palm Beach County at the state and federal level?
So at the federal level, there's a couple of things that we're trying to pass. But the single largest issue at the federal level right now is getting refunded for the security of the president. And the reason that that's important, that's because that's $45 million that we had to take from our budget, which could have gone into a multitude of other services that we're now paying for the security of the president. By the way, we should be providing the president a safe space to be, and if the national security is asking for details and whatever they need to make sure that the president is safe, I'm 100% behind that. I just want to make sure that they refund us like they did in his first term. What's happening today is because we are continuing a resolution of last year's budget. Last year's budget didn't have a funding mechanism for the $45 million that we're going to ultimately pay for his security. So we're actively trying to figure out a way or a mechanism to add to the 2025 budget that $45 million. And I think everybody in Washington agrees. It's just the mechanism and how do we get that to happen. And Todd Budlaren, one of our assistant administrators, is sort of carrying that torch for us, but it's also good for them to see a county commissioner there talking to them, explaining to them that, hey, we're happy to do this, but can you repay us back?
Can you help us out here?
Yeah, because by the way, the taxpayers ultimately pay for this, 100% agree, but it shouldn't just be Palm Beach County taxpayers paying for his security. So that's a clarifying statement, because I think some people misunderstand that we're going to pay, the taxpayers are going to pay for it, but the bucket of money depends on who's paying for it, right? So if it's Palm Beach County, then it's only Palm Beach County residents, where it should actually be nationwide. And then in Tallahassee, we were advocating for a myriad of items. But to me, the single largest item is we have a state road 880, which is a farm road that all these truckers use to get our farms into the port or into our supermarkets. If you've ever driven that road, is up and down, up and down, up and down. You can only go about 15 miles an hour. If not, you'll be jumping off your seat. So imagine a truck driver who's taking that drive in the late evening where there's no lights out there, or, in early morning, and something happens. So it's about safety, and that's a state road. That's why we're advocating for it. So we want to make sure that the state understand what some of our concerns are. And that's pretty much a lot of what we do. It's when we go into Tallahassee, it's explaining why we need certain buckets of money, or why we are in favor or against particular legislation, because it may have financial impact into our businesses, or it may have a financial impact into local government. Right now we're listening that we may actually get property taxes removed. And so local government's like, so how do we pay for all these services that our community is dependent on, such as policing, firefighter, and the myriad of other services that we provide? So it's about explaining that to those legislators. If you do this is the impact that our community. In this county, we manage $9 billion. So it's a lot of money that's at play. And these are all services that go right back to the community that we serve.
And those are the services that make our community such an amazing place, because we live, and I know I'm biased, right? Mm-hmm. But we're both biased.
We are.
But we live in a very, very, very special place. And these services that you're talking about is why our community is so special.
Yeah. And maybe we're biased because we come from a different background, and we've seen what it could be, and we see what we have worked so hard to make out of Palm Beach County. And we truly, I tell people we live in paradise. And could things be a little bit expensive at times? Absolutely. But we have great restaurants, we have great businesses, great hospitals. Our roadways could be improved, but we have fairly easy ways to move around in the county. Do we want to improve upon that? Absolutely. But I mean, we live in a great place.
All right, let's look ahead, way out. What are some of your long-term goals for District 3?
So we're talking about creating economic engines or hubs in District 3, areas that we can bring in businesses, Class A building space. We are looking at making District 3 into a destination. So what would make people come to District 3? We would love to see a sort of like a downtown, a city place, and I'm working with the Village of Palm Springs. We've identified some land that would be primed for this. But at the end of the day, we need developers, we need private dollars to come in. So we are actually working on building a master plan for the district where we are going to respect all of the municipalities' autonomy, but we're going to focus on thoroughfares. So major like Forest Hill, Congress, Military, Lake Worth. I think those are areas that are primed to be redeveloped. And we're looking at changing our code to make sure that we are able to give height bonuses, density bonuses to be able to attract to redevelop, because we understand businesses are in the business of making money, and you're accountable to your board, your stakeholders. So what we want to do is make sure that we have an opportunity to redevelop the areas. We understand it's going to take private dollars, but at the end of the day, you got to make your money back. So in order to do that, we have to be able to give some density bonuses and height. So that's what we're looking at. So we're probably going to start that project the latter part of this year, to make sure that all the municipalities come together and we agree on what District 3 is going to look like in 5 to 10 years. But it opens the door and everybody has a seat at the table. So we have buy-in right from the get-go, rather than me pushing down and then have them have to swallow it. That's not my approach. So my approach is, let's all come together. Let's create one unified vision. Sort of like what you did with Palm Beach North and the 10 municipalities. Let's come together. Let's build that. Let's create a brand. And instead of selling ourselves individually, let's sell ourselves as a district or as a region, because it's prime for redevelopment.
There are a lot of people that are watching this and look up to you, right? And that are watching this and saying, man, I want to do that. I want to be Joel one day. Commissioner, excuse me.
No, Joel, listen, I'm the most humble person in the world. If you're that person that wants to embark down this path, all you have to do is email me, and we'll grab coffee with the same way that Commissioner Kerner opened his door to me when I had that crazy idea. I would be happy to engage with anyone. But the expectation needs to be that at the end of the day, if that's your vision, you have to get to work. You can't just decide to run and all of a sudden, I'm going to do all these things, but nobody has seen you out in the community. So if you're a man of action, then you got to prove it. What are you doing in your community? How are you involved? What boards do you sit on? Where do you volunteer? Do you know what's happening in your own background? So if you don't know those questions, that's sort of step number one is, let me get involved. Let me roll up my sleeves. Let's coach, do beach cleanups, whatever you decide, or whatever is that, calls to you, that's what you should start doing. Is because living a life of service, and this is truly what I do every single day. It doesn't just start when I got elected. It was built into me since I was a little kid. And people are different, and some people do this because they're trying to climb the ladder in the political world. That's not me. Every single day that I come to work is because I want to make sure that the county is better for it. So I am very approachable. If somebody wants me to mentor them or to coach them or to help them, absolutely. Don't do it when you're running. You gotta build yourself up before. Like, you can't. I see this mistake happen time and time again. You throw your name in the hat and then you're looking for help. No, you gotta invest your time before you throw your name in the hat. And I think that's a lot of candidates. That's their mistake. They don't know who their allies are ahead of time.
All right, last question. I could be here all day, but I've got one more question that I like to ask everybody that comes on the show, right? Again, you've done some cool stuff, had a really, really cool path to get here. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to say about you way after we're all gone?
That Joel cared. That Joel cared about his district, about his community, and every single day, he left it all on the table. And to me, do you know what's funny? To me, it doesn't matter what people say; it's what my kids say. So it's what however my kids see me in 20 years, and that to me it's sort of my barometer of, am I doing good or am I doing bad? It's my kids. It's like, and I tell them about the meetings that I have, the decisions that I have. Sometimes I'll ask my daughter, my oldest, how would you vote on this? And you know, she wants to be an attorney. So she gives me her side of the house. And a lot of my views on female stuff is because of my daughter. And I love her for it. She's very opinionated and I respect her for that. And so a lot of the things that I advocate for from the female perspective are because, first of all, I grew up in a household with 2 females and I have 2 daughters, and I want to make sure that they're able to do the same things that we can do. But my legacy is to be someone who cared about his community. Even after I'm not an elected official, I am going to be embedded in the community. I love nonprofits. I love giving back. And that's who I want to be. I'm not someone that, because I lose an election, I'm going to disappear. It'll probably be worse. I'll probably be more involved and then, you know, screaming and hollering at our elected officials like, we demand this. That's what we get now. So no, but you know, that's to me it's what matters. It's about, if you think that I did the right thing, and it's because I care.
How can someone get more information? How can they get a hold of you?
The easiest way is to email me. It's jgflores, Flores, @pbc.gov.
Perfect.
So it's just the easiest way to book an appointment. My staff will reach out to you. I will tell you though, right now my agenda is pretty tight. So if it's a month out, don't be upset. I am trying to get through to everybody. Or the easiest way is just to show up at the Village of Palm Springs for in-district offices every other Wednesday starting next week, I believe.
Well, thank you very much, Joel. This has been great. It's been awesome. I've known you for a long time and I learned a lot about you today. So really appreciate it. We're really proud of you, man. You're doing some great stuff. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
No, you guys keep up the good work, because believe it or not, a lot of who I am today is because Palm Beach North Chamber. So
well, thank you, Commissioner. Really appreciate it. And that's all we got for you today. We look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Make sure to like, follow, tell all your friends about all the amazing things going on in Palm Beach North. See you soon.